Good morning, KOTA territory. I'm Jack Siebold. I'm here to talk a little bit about homelessness. The Rapid City Mayor, Jason Salamun, and Pennington County Sheriff, Brian Mueller, will have a news conference in just a couple of moments, probably about another minute, and we'll join them as soon as they reach the podium. The homeless issue in Rapid City has dramatically changed over the last 5 years. Homeless counts have shown an increase of more than 50%. And they have noted, comes from a release from this city this morning, they have noted that there is a uptick, is what they say, in younger working age people living on the streets, and that corresponds, they say, to an increase in violence and property crimes. Now, a lot of homeless, it's poverty is the main reason for homelessness, but it's not the only one. There's also mental illness, there's addictions, and for some there is a lifestyle, and that's what the city has noticed, that among the younger people, it just seems to be a lifestyle post the COVID pandemic. And they're trying to get a handle on it. They want to help people, they say, in their news release, but they don't want it to be too comfortable for people to choose what they call the harmful path of homelessness. Now, when you look at the data from Rapid City, the South Dakota Housing for the Homeless Coalition, they do a survey every January. And the last survey they did has shown that statewide there's a decrease in homelessness, about an 8% decrease, but not in Rapid City. Rapid City, it's actually become more. And of the chronic homeless in South Dakota, Rapid City has twice as many chronic homeless people as Sioux Falls, and everybody knows Sioux Falls has a much larger population. So, while the state shares this problem, Rapid City does share the brunt of it. Let's see, we were talking about the outreach program Rapid City has started. Sioux Falls is using Rapid City's outreach program. So I'm not quite sure exactly what the city is going to do now, because they already have several programs, like the laundry list of the programs that the resources that homeless people do have here in Rapid City. There's the Care Campus, there's Pivot Point, the Rapid City Police Quality of Life Unit, the Rapid City Fire's mobile medics are also available. And then there are charity programs and community programs that also help with the homeless. And now it looks like we have the mayor showing up, and we're just going to pop over to that now.
Nice. I like it.
They are showing up for the news conference. All right. Should be getting going in a minute, and I'm going to be quiet and let them get going. We'll see how they go. As I said, Mayor Jason Salamun and Sheriff Brian Mueller, joint news conference to discuss the homeless issue in Rapid City. It is a chronic problem, and then it is not getting better. But Rapid City, South Dakota, they are not the only communities that are affected by this. It has really gotten a lot worse, and there's South Dakota Senator Helene Duhamel popped up in front of the camera for a minute, and I probably should have just waited to go to this until they were going. But, we'll see what they do.
Doesn't feel that long at all that I shut off the gas to my fireplace.
In April, May.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that long at all. There's not enough sun.
It's not that it's been like cold as snow.
We're trying to paint the trim on our house, and we're fighting against time. It rained. I gave Sharp number. I will.
You guys all ready to go? Tell us when you're all ready.
I am good.
And KOTA, you're streaming, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry. All right, well, we'll get started here. First of all, thank you all for being here today to talk about this important topic. We're going to keep it kind of short and sweet today, but the sheriff and I will both share some remarks, and then we'll open it up to questions if you have any. What we're proposing is very simple, is we're proposing a joint statement from both the city and the county that states our goal is to reduce homelessness in Rapid City. And what we do is we want to encourage all citizens, all residents to support those efforts. Whether you're supporting organizations in the community or your own efforts, ask yourself, does this help reduce homelessness in Rapid City? And so at the end of the day, that's the starting point for this discussion. But I think it's just important to make that super clear right up front. That's what this is about. And it's always good, though, when you're able to partner with organizations doing great work. And obviously, we have Sheriff Mueller here representing the county. And, this is a shared objective, a shared goal. And what we hope is this not just for the city of Rapid City or the county of Pennington County, but it's for the community that makes this up, because it's really all about the community. And so I hope this is something everybody can get behind as a starting point, and we can go from here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Mueller.
And this is our effort to be transparent with the community. We shouldn't hide from the fact that our vision is, the mayor and I's shared vision is, to reduce homelessness in Rapid City. Next week, we'll be asking the city council and the county commission to join us in that effort and join forces with the city and county moving forward. And this is a call to action for our community, for service providers, for stakeholders, for community members to get involved, share their thoughts, share their ideas, and help us build the framework to meet our goal moving forward, which is to reduce homelessness in Rapid City and Pennington County.
So with that, we'll open it up to any questions that you might have. Daryl, did you want them to go to a microphone or anything? Are we streaming anything?
We're not streaming, but
So they're
good.
so it's for them.
Yep.
So okay, good.
Okay. I have a few questions. I'm gonna set this here.
And I think to set the stage,
Okay.
though, also, this is the call to action to build the framework. The mayor and I don't have a detailed plan as to what that's going to look like. This is the first step in getting the right people to the table to work on that plan also.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask a few questions, and if you can answer it, great. If you can't, I know why. So, what are some of the factors that you may know that contributed to the rise of homelessness among the younger working age individuals in Rapid City and Pennington County?
I think clearly we're seeing that. We're seeing it in our numbers at the care campus specifically. We're seeing 19, 20, 22, 25-year-old working able people moving to our community. When our law enforcement officers are talking to these individuals on the streets and we're asking them to, do you want change? How can we help you get yourself through this situation, find a better place? A lot of the answers we're getting are, hey, you have all the services that we need here. We're getting fed every day. We know when the weather gets inclement that we'll have shelter, so we don't need to change. And I think part of our effort is we need to work together with these individuals to help them work towards a positive change in their lives. But we're definitely seeing an increase in younger people and an increase of people from other communities, some from the reservations, some from surrounding communities, and some from other states that are moving here. And we're working very hard with the resources we have to identify those individuals and help them get back to where they came from, also secondary to the issue that we're working with here today.
Awesome. And speaking of helping those, the Ignite program with the jail service, I know that's, a thing going on. How will that help address the homelessness?
Well, the first step in the Ignite program is individuals need to enroll in it. They need to ask to be part of the system. We're not going to force anybody to be part of that. So that is part of the accountability piece that we're hoping to emphasize with Ignite. So individuals who are in the jail who want to change their trajectory can ask for help, and then we'll plug them into the right system, whether they need help with education, job skills, substance abuse, mental health issues. We can plug them into the right formula for success to move them forward. So when they get released from jail, which over 90% of the people in our jail are going to be back out in our community, whether it be 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months from now. So I think we owe it to do our part to help the people that want change to change their trajectory, and we're making big strides in that with the Ignite program currently.
Awesome. And how can community members and local businesses directly become involved in supporting this new effort?
Well, a big part of what we're looking for are places for people to serve at, and also, mentors. So as he talked about with the Ignite program, that's what we were mentioning. So I know one of the big things he's asked is, hey, where can people work in the city? Can they help with city projects and the accountability piece, and it gives them that option. I think there could be potential that it could expand beyond that. It's a supervised program. Maybe there's opportunities for businesses to be involved there. We know there's workforce shortages. We know there's work that needs to be done. So how can we make sure that people are living productive lives and having opportunities for them? Anything to add to that, Sharon?
I think you covered it. Okay.
Awesome. And, steps going forward, once this proposal's, with the city council and the Pennington County, what would be the next steps?
I think the next steps is getting the right people to the table to talk about, what are we doing now? What's working? What's not working? And what do we need to get behind and what do we don't? I mean, one of the calls to action is this. It's really a community call to action. The community has so many resources to invest in people in need, which I love that spirit of generosity in our community. The challenge is if it's spread over too much, is it having an impact? So you want to say, what organizations and entities and efforts are having the greatest impact? And as a community, if we were to get behind some of those, more focused, get behind some of those, what impact could we have? Who's doing it really well? If they're better resourced, better staffed, could they do a better job? And I think those are community conversations that are a part of this, and I don't want to sit here and tell you which organizations are doing great and who are not. It's not my job to do that today. But my job is to call the community to say, this is a goal that we have. Just so you know, you have leaders whose goal is to reduce homelessness, not grow it. Because right now the trend is this way. It needs to change for the sake of the people and our community.
And last question for me, and I know it's just getting started and it's a call to action, but kind of what are your long-term goals for this, say 5-10 years in the future?
I think it's clear. Our long-term goal is to reduce homelessness in Rapid City and Pennington County.
It's very measurable. It is either reduced or it's not. We could have just been really vague. Be like, just make life better. How would you measure that? We're saying reduce. There are things like pick counts. There are organizations. We will know if there are less people being bused here from other states, which is what's happening now. We will know that, whether that's working or not. And eventually, when the word will get out, this isn't the best place for you. It gets cold in the wintertime, for example. We have enough of our own people in our own community that we want to help them live the lives that they're meant to live as a community, not just as a government, but I'm talking as a community. And that's really what you want. You want people to prosper, all people. But you can't force them. You hope there's opportunity for them to take advantage of. And sometimes they need a little help. That's why we have mental health services. That's why we have substance abuse services, which are a big part of our challenges right now.
Now you said, of course, that this is just starting. There are no policies in mind or put forward at the time. To sort of expand on the 5-year goal question, do you have a specific direction or framework in mind you'd like to see these, the issue of homelessness addressed in? Do you have specific directions you'd like to take those policies?
Well, I'll go first. There are a few tables you're going to have to put together. For some people, homelessness is a difficult situation. They might have lost their job, had too many bills, couldn't afford where they lived, and those are difficult spots, and I think the community should definitely help people get back on their feet. There are others that choose it, and it's a lifestyle, and it's unfortunate. There's a lot of reasons behind it, and you don't want to make it too comfortable. One of my concerns is that there are people, we know that people freeze to death in the winter. They fall in water, for example, and they might freeze, and I don't want to just have those people stay there. You want to get them into shelter. So quite frankly, for me, it's always boiled down to this. Those who can live independently and take care of themselves, they should. If they have a hard time, there should be family members and loved ones who can bring them in. If that doesn't happen, there should be shelters to help people temporarily get back on their feet again. If they're dealing with substance abuse and addiction, we need to have treatment available for them. If they're dealing with mental health issues, we need to be able to get them the help that they need. Those are the paths. But allowing them to stay where they are is not love. Helping people get from where they are to where they need to be, that is love. And I think that's what we're talking about with regards to how we to serve folks is we don't just want to leave you there and give you a candy bar, a bottle of water, and a sleeping bag and say, you stay right there and be just fine. And it become a statistic. Rather say we need to get you into one of these categories, independently with a loved one. Why are they not with their loved ones? There might be a reason. Or into a temporary shelter, which we have, shelter in this community. And if you're battling addiction or battling mental health challenges, there's help. There already is help in those spaces. So that's the thing, is make it very clear what is there right now. I'm certain things can be improved. That'll be discussions that we have moving forward.
And you talked about there's a community call to action. Are there any organizations or people that you've invited to, as part of the discussion, that you know are going to take part or you hope take part?
I think that's something that we're going to work on. Next week, as in the release, the mayor's taking this proposal to the city council on Monday. I'm going to bring it to the county commission on Tuesday, and I think, as entities, the city and county will work hard to get the right people to the table. We don't necessarily need to drive it, but we're going to provide the vision. We'd like to provide the vision for our community to reduce homelessness. I think it's also important to point out that there are wonderful individuals and wonderful entities out there doing tremendously great work in this field right now. My hope personally is to highlight the work that they're doing, figure out how we can duplicate it. But there are individuals and entities out there that are doing things that are enabling voluntarily homelessness in our community. And I think we also need to speak openly about that and figure out as a community, how can we reduce some of that at the same point in helping people, give people a hand up that need it, not a handout to continue the cycle of increasing the homelessness that we've seen in our community over the last few years.
Hi, I'm Kristen from KOTA Territory. Thank you for meeting with us today. I did just have a couple of questions. Do you think there might become a stigma if someone is homeless coming out of Rapid City, and how would we prevent that in the future? And if it's already a stigma, what are we going to do to change that?
A stigma to be homeless, is that what you mean?
Like if someone was to go and get a job and they put down, in Rapid City, if a lot of people are saying, oh, they're coming out of Rapid City, maybe that's not a good place. How are we preventing that?
Well, first of all, I'd say this is a national issue. And I can have a lot of opinions on how it affects nationally. I mean, we see it all over the place in communities, big and small. Our responsibility is here. And so that's one of the things. I'm not sure every community is getting up and saying, hey, we want to reduce homelessness. I think it's more saying, how can we do more services? I don't want there to be a stigma. I think that's why you get the right stakeholders involved to say, really, it's about you. I have a lot of respect for people who are getting back on their feet. There are people, you don't have to be homeless to be an addict. I know addicts who are not homeless. I have a lot of respect for those who are choosing sobriety, for example, over the life they were living, or choosing to go back to school to upskill their life, or choosing to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. Those people, I have a lot of respect for those kind of folks. And that's what we want to encourage, and we want to shout that out. So if that's you, and you find yourself in that situation, or you have loved ones in that, that's awesome. We should be cheerleading and championing the positive behavior that we see. And so that maybe that's a big part of this discussion, is to say, hey, you're trying, incredible. We're cheering you on. And by the way, here's some resources or directions. And if you're a hard worker, good hard workers are hard to find right now. And opportunity comes to those who work hard. We don't all have equal outcomes, but we want to make sure that we all have opportunities to grow. And that would be my takeaway on that.
And I can tell you through our progress that we've made with Ignite, working with the business community, with Elevate Rapid City, overwhelmingly my response is the business community wants workers. They're asking for, is there a way we can develop workers to the jail that are going to get back out? They want to know, is there a way to develop what we're doing at the care campus to identify people that have some skills that are willing to come in and work? So I think that our community is going to be very supportive of any efforts where we can identify individuals that want help, that need help, and employment is part of that. I think that we can turn this into a real positive here in Rapid City and Pennington County. I'm very excited to be a part of it.
A couple of data points for you. The last I heard, our unemployment rate is 1.69%. The average, a healthy average, is 3.3 to 5%. What that 1.69% tells us is we do not have enough workers for the jobs that we have. The other important data point is we're roughly around 67% on labor participation. So we saw a whole third of the community that could work that's choosing not to work. Some of them, that's fine. They're going back to school or stay-at-home parent. Some of them are in situations like this. So if you're willing and able to work, I believe there's opportunity for you. And that is the thing. People need purpose in their life. Everybody's here for a reason, whether you're homeless or not. The fact is, you want to make sure that you can help people get from here to there. I'm not saying that's always the government's job. This is much deeper than the government. We're just two leaders in our community that the people have put in place that says this is the direction we think the community needs to go. And so that's why we're bringing this forward today.
I just had one more question. Since the pandemic, and I know that must have, tore a lot of people up and must have had a lot of people out of jobs. If there is another change and we have more, I know we've got a booster shot coming on the way. Do you guys have anything set in place for being able to assess how the homelessness are going to be, or how the homeless are going to be okay if we have another round of, pandemic?
But I think we have a lot of great partners in this community that are willing to come together anytime we're faced with a new challenge. And if that happens here in this community, I feel confident we'll have the right people come to the table to help work on that. But it's hard to answer a what if in that scenario for me personally.
If you're going to what if, I what if scenarios all the time. What if this happens in Rapid City today? What if this happens, nationwide? Today, of all days, I think about that stuff all the time. Sheriff is right. The fact is, those are things that you bring leaders in the community. They're actually in the work, and we'll figure out a game plan from there. But not just for this population, but all of our community.
Thank you.
I do have a follow-up question too. So a couple of major barriers to people either keeping themselves from becoming homeless or getting themselves out of homelessness would be housing costs and the cost of living that's associated with that. Is there anything that the city is doing or can do to address those two barriers?
Well, and this is a broad issue. It is definitely an issue in our community. I don't think it's the primary driver of our homelessness. I think it is a factor, though. And I think for some it is the problem. But we continually have to look at our housing. The thing is, we don't have enough inventory for the people that moved here. Speaking of the pandemic, we had a rush of migration into the community because people love the quality of life we have here, the freedom that we have here. That created opportunities for us that we're experiencing. It's creating challenges. This is a supply and demand issue. We need more supply of single-family units. I think that's important. Not every one of them need to be big houses. We, over the years, got an idea that we needed, 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage for everybody. And I mean, that's nice to have, but I didn't have a garage until 2015. So, but that idea that we need housing of all types in order to relieve pressure off affordable housing. So there's continuing community efforts towards that end. I think that's important. Obviously, the city needs to make sure that we're doing our job to make sure it's done in a safe way, but a reasonable way, to make sure that we're expanding those kind of opportunities in our community, as well as infrastructure, all of that. But let me say this to that cost. We are on an island here in Rapid City. There's no other metro area. Cheyenne's closer than Sioux Falls. We're on an island. And so the cost of fuel, when that rises, and that's transportation and getting materials here, the cost of materials have gone up. Building materials all over the place, not just because of fuel. It's a nationwide issue. This is a result of inflation by bad policy, quite frankly. When you think what happens around the world or at the national level doesn't affect you locally, what we're experiencing here is due to those kind of policies. So we definitely need to make sure we're electing good leaders who have good policies that help bring that stuff back down to earth, because the fact is bad policies affect real people, as we're seeing here in our community. And none of us are immune from it. But let me tell you, those who are most vulnerable, they're the ones who suffer most. When gas price is $4 a gallon, that hurts them. It hurts me, but not at the same rate that it hurts them. So I would like to see us, for example, have our own energy. We need to be drilling our own oil instead of depending on foreign countries. Not to get too far into that, but everything connects with each other. And so to isolate even this issue with our community alone or whatever is not quite accurate. Everything does connect with each other, so that's where you start talking about economic development, improving housing, having more jobs. All of those things definitely play a factor. And you see, we have housing units going up all the time, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what we really need. So there's a lot of work to do, no doubt about it. Sorry to go on
You're good.
a rant on that
You're
one.
good. Any other questions? We appreciate you guys all being here
Yeah.
today.
Thank
Let's
you.
cover this important topic.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Okay, that was a news conference, joint news conference by Rapid City Mayor Jason Salamun and Pennington County Sheriff Brian Mueller, talking about the homeless issue and some of the things they need to do. A couple of points before we sign off. We will have this story, in-depth story tonight on our newscasts at 5:30 and 10 on KOTA Territory News, and 6 and 9 on Black Hills Fox News. Anyway, as we were talking about, the last homeless count in Rapid City was in January. There's 499 homeless people, and just under half of those were unsheltered. And that will be a major issue as the weather does get colder. They're going to have to try to find help for these people. And Mayor Salamun was talking about a good segment of the homeless can help themselves, and they should help themselves. He also wants families to be more involved, if they have someone in their family who's homeless, to bring them in and to help them. And then if those two legs work right on the little stool, then the third stool leg would be the city. The city can actually come in and help. But as we said, we will sign off now, and you can see this story later on KOTA Territory News tonight. Goodbye.